Alright, in this video I want to showcase MajorMUD Explorer and some of the cool features and some of the essential features to go along with being a player. I think this is something that you just have open all the time when you're playing MajorMUD, and I'll show you why. I just sort of detail all the features here, and it's just really crucial if you're going to be playing this game. First and foremost, you have the way to open a data file for your board. So it comes with a stock data for 1.11p, which was the last official release. In Nightmare, you also have the ability to export a data file. So if you've edited your board and you want to share it with players rather than keeping a list somewhere, you can simply export a data file and it'll import into MajorMUD Explorer. You can see all the custom things that are in there, weapons, armor, spells, etc., races and classes even. So really cool feature, and it's all synergistic, and that's because it's the same creator of both tools. This is created by Syntax53, who is, I think he's made some of the best tools out there. Definitely not the only editing tools out there, but I think the best at this stage. So, MajorMUD Explorer, and again, how you get to that, you can simply download it from mudinfo.net. There's a link to it in the download section if you look there. Right, so let's check out the settings first. There's I never mess with this, so there's lots of stuff you can do to configure with this program. I don't use any of the other options or even file. I don't save characters. I have 15 characters up, so you can see in my toolbar here. So I don't bother switching between them. First tool I'll show you is a backstab calculator. This is super cool. Say I'm a ninja. Let's pull up my ninja, for example. So looking at his stats and his items, we're able to see what to expect for backstabbing. So you can see that I'm level 22. Sorry, I'm doing multiple things here at once. Okay, level 22 right there. My stealth is 103. My strength is 90. Max damage is based on my items, so I'll get into this later to how to calculate this exactly, but basically when you equip your items, it'll see which max damage modifier you have. So let's say I have 9. And then this is also from your items. If you have BS min damage and max damage, it'll affect that. And I also have class stealth, because if you look at the ninja class stealth is one of the abilities. So let's actually get a weapon that I can backstab with. Stone javelin. This will be my range. Of course, I can't even equip this at level 22, but this is a cool example of this tool. It shows you what you're going to backstab for the formulas in the game. Okay, pretty cool tool. External map. I'm not sure where it loaded actually. Where did it put the external map? Right here. It was minimized. So if I want to just have this up alongside my window for referencing, this is way better than the text maps that that you used to play. You're able to navigate to them using the D-pad on my keyboard. 4 and 6 is west and east respectively. You can also check out the options for different abilities, what to show on the map, big map if we want. Pretty cool feature overall. So I don't use this a whole lot, but you can always trace where you are according to this. It would be cool if this tied into MMUD somehow, but it's sort of just manual overlay at this point. Regardless, really cool feature still. Really like it. And this is reading again from the DATs in the game, in the DAT file. So it's all dynamic based on any edits, if there is any. You can see experience calculator. Again, some of the boards have custom charts, so this knows the formulas and how they calculate. Let's say I'm a F-Orc thief, it calculates the race and class tables together. If I want to calculate the entire list, And if I were level 75, it only takes 2.4 billion experience, 2.49. So, meanwhile, if you go something like a Nekogen Ranger, which I think is the highest, 75 is how many? 10.9 billion. So, pretty cool feature to be able to see that. This is just a standard notepad. Not anything too cool there. Swing calculator. This is something I get a lot of use out of, actually. Based on your encumbrance and your max encumbrance and a lot of other factors, actually, you can tell how many swings you're going to get. So I don't think this does it for jump kicks or or punches or any of the other mystic ways they attack, kicks either. But other than that, let's say again I'm level 22. I'm using the, stone javelin. My agility is set to a certain thing. This is based on my class, right? Here's a combat for ninjas 3. My strength is 120. And if my encumbrance is 403, I'm going to get 445 swings. So this tells me, if you keep leveling up, you see this goes up. If it gets to something like this, you never want to re-engage after that first round because you're going to lose an extra swing every time. Important to note, see my encumbrance is none here. If I get fast enough level, so there's quick and deadly, which gives you 5 swings. That's what it says when you equip the weapon. There's also quick and deadly crits, scaling up to 20 more than whatever you have from other factors. So this is a really nice way to determine, based on your attributes, what your crits are expected to be. It's also the fast ability, like if you're casting speed on yourself or something like that. Sometimes you're slowed from spells, sometimes you use bashes. And you can also copy in MMUD stats. So if you're in MMUD, if you use player stats, copy this, paste them here. It actually tells you realistically what your average round is compared to what MMUD reports, which is different, 94. See, because sometimes it wouldn't give you the full rounds and it counts it as a full round. So pretty cool feature. I like the swing calculator, use it a lot. That's it for the tools. Now I'll show you the breakdown into the tabs here, because I use each of these tabs every day. So the weapons, so let's start with the filter. So you can filter all these tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs by, and I think characters. Well, maybe not. But you filter these by your header up here. So if you're, let's say a 22 ninja, like I said a couple times now, whether I'm, my line can be flexible, my alignment, or I could say I'm definitely evil. Okay. So now it's only going to show me weapons that I can equip. Now there's actually quite a few. So we'll focus on, after the filter, we'll focus on each of these tabs. I can also remove the filter from any of these tabs as well. There's this button up here. And if I want to remove the filter or add, let's say I only want one-handers, even though I want to keep that global filter or the ninja filter, because I want to use an offhand, I could do that as well. So it only gives me the one-hand blunt and sharp weapons here. Also, maybe I only want to look at backstabbable items or weapons, or only staff, only ones that are non-limited if it's a tight board or an old board, and who knows where the sysop is. If I'm a witch hunter, only non-magic. Sometimes you're looking for like a magical 4 weapon. Of course, there's none at level 22 for ninja, but let's say I'm level 30. Still none. If I'm level 40, then some start to show up. But if you want to take out a boss that says magical 4, this is a very useful feature to figure out which weapons you can actually equip given your level. So that's weapons. You may also want to look at, let's put this one back. You may also want to look at things that say like what gives you the most crits. So it's listed here. It's also listed in this detail. So yeah, Vorpal Sword at level 40 is going to give me 10 crits over what I get for the swing calculator, which is pretty cool. So again, that's from a nutshell. You see the important details here. You can also drill down over here to see more details about each of these items, like the Bloodstained Chakram. It's going to say evil only 100. You're not going to see that up here, but these are only the crucial details which apply to most weapons. On top of that, you also get to see some of the references. So this is a really super feature, how you cross-reference between the tabs essentially. So I'll start with the shop. If you double-click the shop reference, there's a shops tab. So given my charm, let's say I have 80 charm, we know for the formulas in the game what weapon is going to cost. So this would be 18.8 plat if I want to buy the Vorpal hatchet. If I had 90 charm, it's 18.4 plat. Or let's say I have it and I want to sell it. Let's show selling. I'll actually get 7 plat for it. Whereas if I only had 80 charm, I get 6.5 plat. So this is a really cool way to be able to see what things are going to cost or what you'll get for selling them right away. That's if it's a shop. Sometimes in shops you'll see no gen. That means you can sell it here, but you can't buy it here. And the junkyards are like this as well. So that's the shops. Sometimes there's NPCs listed here. NPCs, that means they give you, if there's an arrow here, that means it comes from a chest that the NPC gives you. Same with the monsters. These monsters will give you the chest, which can drop this. And then there's additional lists of the chests themselves. So chests, the way the chests work in this game are, there's not 100% drop the first time. You have to, the rules on this are you open them and the percentages are listed on what they actually do. I'll get to the text blocks in a minute to show you how that works and how that looks. Suffice it to say, we have a lot of different ways we can look at where these weapons come from, what the items are. There's also some spells, right? So this one casts Chakram. If you double click that, it goes to the spells tab, shows you what it does. It's either monster or user. Damage minus magic resist 40 to 80. So if you use it, it can cast that, in other words. Alright, let's see if there's anything else worth calling out. And this one casts it, whereas this one also casts it. So if it's got a, I guess if it's got a percent, then that means it's auto cast. Whereas this one, you have to use it to cast it. It's not 100% clear, but that's how it works, just from experience. Okay, so that's the weapons. And again, some of these are linked to text blocks. So if you double click the text blocks, it has some sort of confusing list of things. I'll get into that in a second in a little more detail, because there's a lot to learn here. I'll get into that with the monsters tab. So that's it for the weapons. Again, super cool feature. Gives you all the information you need. It's really well laid out. It's all cross-referenceable. It's all sortable. Really, really cool feature. Let's check out the armor tab. We see something very similar here. You can filter, of course, armor is lots of different places it's worn. So you can see I only want to see head stuff applicable to my level 40 ninja. Here's everything that I can equip. Say, what's the highest AC item? Jewel turban. What's the thing that gives me the most crits? It's the Executioner's Hood. Again, I'm evil in this case, which this is you have to be evil. If I did any, it would also show. If I did good, it won't. Right? You could also say, if we wanted to give you AC for some reason. Okay, there's nothing on the head, but you can only show things that give you, let's say, crits. That's a good example. Executioner's Head, only, anywhere gives crits. Here's all the things that can give you crits for ninja, level 40 ninja, which is a useful filter you might look for. You might also say, okay, well, I need an offhand item. There's actually one available only for an evil ninja level 40, and here it is. So, pretty cool feature on the armor. A lot of the features are shared between this and the weapons. Shows all the details here, shows some highlight details up here, shows all the cross references in a really easy to find format. And yeah, really cool. It does also say where, what percent drop it is. Some of these, if it's a chieftain, right, this boss will drop at 25%. I'll get into more on that from the monster tab when we get there, but it's also shown here, item drops. So, pretty cool. I think that's all I wanted to show for the armor. you can do the same filters up here within the global filter. So spells are another thing, pretty cool. These are all the spells that can be cast by a ninja indirectly. It's kind of weird how that works, but let's do something that's actually a caster like Bard. So it will restrict it to Majory Bard level 2. Here's a list of Majories listed here, as well as what level it takes, as well as how much mana it takes, damage per mana ratio. I think it's an average damage minus the constant mana, of course. And then all the details on it at a high level here, and then you can drill down as well. It tells you what it removes, which is really cool, really useful for Bard stuff, at least, across the board actually. And one of the other cool things is that there's a difficulty listed, and this will tell you how hard it is to cast, essentially how often you're going to fail it, I think, if I remember correctly. There's also some of these that scale per level. In fact, I think every spell in the game does, but you can see based on your level 40 what the actual thing is going to be. If I did, let's see, a Sonic Blast. So if I'm level 40, it's 51 to 92, but let's say I'm level 22, which is when you get this. It's actually 42 to 56. Again, 40 was... $51 and $92. So you can see it scales with your level, and that's how it scales. It's pretty cool how it all gets in there. Additionally, on all these, you can see where it comes from on the bottom right in the references, which, we're learning these from song sheets. If we double click it, it tells you where the song sheet is sold in the sundry item tab. It links to the spell, of course. You can cross-reference back. And then this is the shop it comes from. So the shop, again, I showed you that. You can do the buying and selling, how much it costs, and where it is. The rooms we'll get to last, but sometimes the shops are not obvious what they're referring to. Let's see if I've got so recycler shop. So that's not 100% clear what that means, but it's actually a junkyard. All right, so that's the spells. Again, really cool feature. It tells you everything it does, tells you where to get it, tells you your damage you're expecting, and what's the best damage per mana ratio. Really cool. All right, the comparison tab. Let's say I had two weapons I want to compare, Daikatana and Vorpal Hatchet. Again, I right-click, and there's a bunch of things you can do here just from that context menu. I'm going to add both these to compare. I just add the second one. So just in a small sub list here, we can see only the ones relevant to us. You can do the same thing for armor, monsters, spells. It's a more curated list of the other tabs, which is really cool. Let's go to equipment. This is a really cool feature I use all the time. First of all, let's reset. So if I add in my global filter of level 40 Bard, you may want to do something like, okay, well, let's actually show the things that I have equipped. So if I load up my Bard here, I press I, and then I will copy my inventory. And there's a paste character button here. Boom, it details everything I have in here. I can cross-reference and go to it, go to item, or compare it as you saw, and quickly get to it from there. Really cool. It tells you all the modifiers it has in you, tells you what your AC is. I guess my items give me this, and if you hover over it, tells you which, how that breaks down. So really cool feature by pasting your character. Now let's reset again. Sometimes you want to go through and find the best. Let's say I'm going for the highest AC combo. I can actually get 70 AC, not including spells, on Bard at level 40. So it tells you what items you need in order to get that. Again, I'd have to be evil in this case. Let's say I'm good. If I reset, apply global filter, 71, I can even get more. Some of these are from weapons, which I wouldn't use at this level, but you can see what you do. And say you're using the skull mask, but you're actually looking for a different stat. You can actually just hold it, reset, hold that, and say, now I actually want to find the best encumbrance items. That's a bad example because there's only one. I want to find the best HP item. So here's several, but I'm still holding the skull mask in case there's an HP ears thing that I don't want to equip, or I don't want to take this off no matter what because I need the illumination. So the equipment tab is really cool, really nice features in there. You can hold all or none. Yeah, so yeah, really cool equipment tab. I use this all the time. And again, say sometimes also you're looking for the best HP regen items, but you can't actually get an emerald emblem. You have the others, maybe you don't. Let's hold those. So you may click next best. Okay, well, Onyx emblem actually gives it to you as well, but it's not as good as the first one. Or you may say you're only interested in non-limiteds because, again, it's an old board or the sysup's MIA and there's a bunch of hoarded items somewhere. So really cool feature, the next best as well. And there's plenty of options in here. Pretty much everything you could think of wanting you can find in here. So really like the equipment tab. I talked about compare. Next one's the character one. You can go in here and if you press stat and just copy and paste into here, paste character, it gets the relevant stats that, for my character. Tells me strength, tells me in order to have these stats for this race, you know, because it knows the race is available and what the starting and ending stat sheet is, I have to be level 39, and I'm actually level 40, which means I had some extra. Oh, I forgot to train stats. There you go. That's a good, that's a good find. You can also say, oh, actually, I completed the bishop quest, so it changes some of these things. And yeah, I mean, I could change my level. It knows what HP range it is, which I'm 369, a higher end of that, mostly because I think Phoenix Feather. But you know, you can also say these are the blesses I have on me. I have Song of Brilliance, so that affects not only this but some of my damage calculations as well. And this all factors in. So if I go swing calculator, it knows about these things, right? It keeps the agility I've set here, the level I've set here, the strength, etc. And the encumbrance is also attached to the equipment tab. So it all works together in a kind of a nice succinct way. Really cool about how it all works, pans out like that. So that's a character tab. There's plenty to do here, plenty to see, but in general, this is a good at a glance how the characters are set up. For the classes and races, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's only 15 classes and 13 races, but you can see, well, I want the character, I'm trying to build a new character, I want the highest wisdom available, so you'd sort by that. And say, okay, well, I actually want dwarf if I'm building a priest or something. And this is how I might do it. Or I'm going for the highest charm for a bard, right? So there I'd go for elf. Going for the highest strength because I want to max on my max damage, king or half ogre. So really cool at a glance. Shows you everything up here on the classes or races. And again, this takes in the edits of the board, assuming you've loaded the DAT file. Sundry tab here, these are the things that's not weapons or armor. So this is going to be like keys or song sheets or any items that you can equip, essentially. They'll show in here. And it does have a type as well. Some are special, which is like generic. Scrolls, signs, projectile. You can use this, I think is how it works. Lights you can use, keys you can use. Food, I'm not sure how the food works. I mean, you just have to use it, I think. And containers you use or open. So, Sundry's a cool tab. I don't think there's anything else on there. Just note that, of course, this cross-references where it comes from, and if it executes a text block, which we'll come back to in a minute. Monsters. So this is every NPC, friendly and non-friendly, in the game. You can sort by name. If you type up here, let's say I'm interested in the massive white dragon. See, as you start typing, it starts going to that word. if you say MOM, that's a bad example. I would say BLACK. So adolescent black dragon, if I press right on the keypad, it goes to the next example, next match of it. So really cool feature there. May only be interested in things that drop cash. So that's you know, this many items, this many monsters. Cool filter there. There's also a cool sub feature here called the attack simulator. So if I want to see how I would do against the ancient sand dragon, click on that. Here's my character defenses that pulled in from my character sheet, and run a simulator. So this is from the character, from the monster stats, what it's going to do to me in sort of a simulation. You can keep running it. This is 2000 sims and whether I'm actually going to survive or not. Pretty cool. Pretty cool feature. So that's the attack simulator. I may be interested in things that are, let's see, a boss that's greater than 100,000 experience. So these are the way, that's the way to find these things. Let's say I want to go get some jump. I have a couple million to level and I have to leave soon. So let me just look at this. May also say I'm only interested in like magic 2 and below items that are at least 100,000. You can easily do that filter as well. So pretty cool in general. These are all ancient ruin. So that's the monster tab. Let's dive into the monster tab as well. You can see where their attacks are outlined and how much energy they have and what accuracy. So accuracy, the way that works is I think there's a calculation. I think it subtracts from your AC and the next percent to hit. The min-max damage on that. So minus your DR, if you have 8 DR, that's between 0 and 22 damage. 0 or below would say glances off your armor. Energy, this is divided by 1,000 divided by this is how many swings that gets. And then between all these together, you can see what chance that the monster is actually going to do this. 47% chance to do 3 swings of 8 to 30 minus DR. Add 135 accuracy. So a really cool feature. Based on all this as well, there's a thing here which shows you on average how much damage it'll do to you per round, which is really cool. Also, the way MajorMUD works, if the monster has not been killed, it's a boss. In other words, if it has a regen that's non-zero, if it's not been killed before, it's going to drop all of its items, even if it's 1% drop the first time, and then the second and subsequent times, as long as it's available in the limit game, within the limits of the game. Sometimes they're limit 1. Ebony Ninjato, that's a bad example because it's just laid on the ground, but if this was dropped by a monster and it was already dropped, it's not going to be able to drop again. So that's it, and of course this is cross-referenced. So you double click it and it goes there. This also says if there's a death spell in this case, so I have a filter for only bard spells, but if I remove the filter and try again, this is going to explode, do 8 to 16 full attack area damage when Goro dies. Pretty cool. You can also see a spell immune 15, which means if you cast a level 14 damage spell on him, it's going to not work. Also magical 2, which means if you don't have a magical 2 weapon, you won't be able to hit him. So these are good to see at a glance. Again, I filtered on it up here, so I have some familiarity of that as well. And then it looks like it's in the same round, but I think it's after the round. It actually casts this between round thing as well. So 20% chance to do Ice Storm, 20% chance to Chains Lightning. It's not going to do more than one of these, but I think it's just one of these potentially. But for instance, you can see that it has a 15% chance for 30 round of slowness. So if you have a combat characters, this really wrecks you. So you may want to run if this is cast on you. But it's low chance, so pretty neat. And again, there's this damage per round average, and then If you double click, there's no simulation that I can link here, but you can again do the text simulator against this. Okay. And additionally, you can see if there's any text blocks or where it's located. Some of these monsters, which don't have a regen on them, let's go way lower in the list, like Dark Elf Citizen. There's a lot of places, a lot of layers they can regen. So you can click on any of these and it shows you in the map that if it's got a blue highlight, that means this is the room. I'll get back to the rooms tab, but it's pretty cool. You can see it from here as well, who actually spawns there. Double click. A lot of cross-referencing there. If I go back to Goru, so that was where they regen. Now I want to talk one that has a text block. So here's an example of the Dark Phoenix. It's got a text block for Greek command, and should have a death spell as well. So let's talk the text blocks for Greek command. This is not a good example. I'm not sure what Dark Phoenix actually does, but let's go to the Grey Lord. This is the neutral quest monster, quest boss, quest giver. So if I click the text block, you can see there's tons of stuff in here. It goes down. So let's interpret this a little bit. So it says command code. It really loads this other text box. This is all dynamically generated, of course. So this means if I ask Grey Lord code, it's going to have some dialogue, which is not listed here because we actually don't care. It's not pertinent to how this works. There may be some things highlighted, maybe not. We don't actually care because this is how you have to look for things in game. Not how you have to look for things in game, but what you actually have to do, regardless of how it looks. So in this case, if I ask some code, it's going to check my alignment. It's going to check my ability level, which in this case it's the first neutral quest. And then it's going to give me an ability, and it's going to teleport me. If I just click this once, it shows me where that is. That's code. That's code word. Code word does the same thing. Code word with one word instead of two does the same thing. Word does the same thing. Teleport works a little differently because you can do that outside of that quest section, and you can see it doesn't give you the ability, so you may get mixed up on that. Some of these are, let's see, you ask them I. So it checks if you're a warrior, it checks if you're level 20, checks your alignment, checks if you have Eye of the Beholder. Sorry, it doesn't check it just takes it, which implicitly checks it. Make sure that you've done the first quest. Gives you the second quest flag. Adds your experience, and then shows some things here. So super cool. It tells you everything you need to know basically at any given step. If you click the simple tab, it is a little more succinct as well. The simple checkbox, I mean. So text blocks are a really cool feature. Again, if I have Eye of the Beholder item listed as well, there's also a text block referenced here. In this case, it says where it's linked to, but doesn't give the whole rigmarole. So you have to, the way in which you see what you have to do with this item is you have to go to the monster and look at their text block, which has more detail, and find it in the list. Now, someone asked recently, how do I get the Wizard Knock spell? So here's a good example of MMUD Explorer. MajorMUD Explorer can actually tell you this. So here's Wizard Knock. It's a pretty worthless spell, but they didn't know how to get it. You get it from Scroll Wizard Knock. Okay, well, double click that. Tells you here it is. Where do you actually get the Scroll Wizard Knock? It's not sold at the store. Look at the text block. It's from the Sandstone Room. You click in here. There's an NPC. Click this text block. There you go. Give Black Cauldron to Ser Siam. Item, take Black Cauldron, give Cauldron, give Black Cauldron, gives Cauldron. These are room abilities, room commands, which will ultimately give you the scroll. And then you can see Black Cauldron. This is how you get to Black Cauldron as well. It's from the Witch's Cave. There's a bug actually listed where it doesn't show that, but we'll get to the rooms last. But suffice it to say, there's ways to get around and see everything you need to see from the text blocks. you may have to, if you're clicking a room, you may have to go throughout a different way. But really cool feature. Text blocks gives you everything you need to know essentially on how to complete a quest. And if you're looking up on a guide for in a forum or something for how to do a quest, I would even say this is more complete and more accurate than looking on a forum post. It may have unneeded steps. Some things are for just chat, but don't give you an ability flag, so you may want to skip it. I talked about the shops already, so the last thing is the rooms. So again, here was the rooms tab with it, sort of an overlay of where I am. I can right click on any given room. Let's say I want to right click here, recenters it, shows me what's around. The place this doesn't work is when the maps change. So you can see it's kind of like a dead end here. It doesn't look like it goes anywhere. If I go east, so I'm on map 1, room 219. If I go east, it goes to map 15, 732. So it's one place that breaks apart a little bit. I think it's maybe a limitation of MMUD Explorer a little bit, but certainly still cool. I think I showed the external map already. Yep, I did. There's all the blocks, which I don't like that view, but it could show you. Let's see how this would look. Let's see. Here's some presets. I can always set my own presets as well. If you want to navigate around, this jumps you there. Pretty cool feature if you often go back to one place and you just want to quickly load it up. What else? You can search for rooms. So let's say you want to do Tazloy, which is one I do a lot. Search for room name. Boom, there you go. Tazloy Village entrance. You can see what's around here. Here's the Animal Master, just a few rooms away. So if I didn't know where it was and it wasn't in my presets, which happens to be actually, I could just search for it. It's a really good search feature. So that's it. I mean, that's the tool in a nutshell. There's one last thing I wanted to show, which is the pathing window. So let's say I wanted to set up a loop of this. Now there's a way to do it in MajorMUD, but it's not perfect. I think it has some issues. If you do some commands incorrectly, you may have to still manually modify it if you go to edit record path. There's a way to actually record a path from MMUD Explorer. So if you go to the pathing window, say I'm starting here, and I'm doing it on my D-pad now, I'm going to do movement. And then you want to go back to the beginning. You can enter manual commands, all sorts of things. Here's the history and what I did. As the room name, as what my command was to move between the rooms. And whoops, you can see my room start and my room end. Were they different? Oh, this is the room I was in, not the room I ended up in. So starting room was 147, ending room is this. So if you click add headers and save path, it's going to ask to find the rooms.md from the main. Do that. Here's my MajorMUD default. Start room code was not found because it's not a registered room in my go path, so may have to add that. And it's a loop. So okay, it's ready to save. So save it somewhere else and then go to game data paths add. Game data paths add. So if I navigated to my desktop, there it is, the one I just did. You see I've done this before. And import, I don't want to do it because it was just a goofy loop. But that would make it so it shows up in here. And then I would tell it which group, of course. But really cool feature here if you want to add your own custom loops. It saves a lot of time. Okay, that's MajorMUD Explorer. Really cool tool. Like I said, gives you tons of features, and it's really essential for playing this game. All right, thanks for watching, everybody.